Kwame Jackson. Although he was flattered to make both People magazine's 50 Most Beautiful People and its 50 Hottest Bachelors list in 2004, Kwame is a businessman first. He holds an MBA from the Harvard School of Business, the Harvard Business School. Maybe you've heard of that. He's an entrepreneur, a professional speaker, and he has some great insight on young professionals across the country. So everyone, please give a warm round of applause to Kwame Jackson. Kwame, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good to see you. So, The Apprentice. Let's talk about that. Just get that out of the way. Season 1, that was 11 years ago.
Yeah, many, many moons.
Hard to believe that it's been 11 years. What have the past 11 years brought for you?
It's been a great whirlwind. For me, it really gave me a platform to kind of brand myself as an entrepreneur. When I did The Apprentice, it wasn't this franchise and behemoth on an international level that it is now.
You started it. You made it blow up.
Yeah, we were first movers, and it gave us a chance to really do that as people who set something up new in this space. And so The Apprentice for me has always been a great platform, and I look at it as, not a ceiling but a floor, and then be able to rise from there. So as an entrepreneur, as a professional speaker, as a consultant, I've had a chance to travel the world and work with great companies, and now, here working with Comcast.
Working with Comcast and other corporations as well in your consulting work. What are some of the biggest trends you're seeing with young professionals today?
Yeah, I think that's something that everyone's trying to figure out. Basically, it's how do you crack that code? Right. You've got this entire generation of folks, millennials, coming into the workforce between basically 1980 and 2000, people born in that particular bucket. They're almost 90 million strong. They are changing how we look at the consumer base. They're changing how we look at technology, and they're a very socially progressive and hyper-diverse group. And so for them, diversity is not something that is on the side or just stapled on. It's intrinsic to who they are.
Part of them,
it's a multicultural community.
So what do you find when you're helping companies like Comcast and other clients? What do you find that they could really benefit from knowing about these young professionals?
Well, I think there's a couple things. One, that millennials are really focused on a collaborative and open work environment. They want to be given structure, but at the same time allow them to give feedback and talk through a process and be engaged in true change work, not just busy work, but true change work. So give them the whole game plan, let them know how their segment falls into it, and how we're going to execute the play to score the touchdown. So essentially, millennials really need to understand that process. Also, millennials need that flexible work environment. They're not looking to, be in the office for 70-hour work weeks like my old days at Goldman Sachs or Wall Street. They're looking for that either. They're looking for the flexibility of working from home, engaging with their families, and raising their kids in a different way. And so I think millennials really need that flexibility. They need that career coaching, and then they also need that kind of North Star to say, here's where you're going on a mobile skill set basis that you can take from workplace to workplace.
And we just heard from Melissa and Ross about some of the things that their resource group, their employee resource group is doing. How important is it for companies to have that for young professionals? Well,
you've got a generation that is extremely networked, extremely used to working in teams, and so the team aspect and the network aspect of an employee resource group is critical to millennials, and it really fits their ethos as a cohort. There are folks who have played video games online with each other.
They love doing things together.
They love doing things as teams. So that kind of feedback, networking, and the ability to kind of problem solve collaboratively, they really focus on that as teams. So ERGs are perfect for them.
Yeah, and Comcast and other companies are really zeroing in on that and giving them focus on how to get them energized. So,
without a doubt,
Kwame, we have a great panel coming up. We'll talk about some of the ways that Comcast is looking at defining how to hire and how to attract these young professionals and how that they can really make the most out of their careers. So you'll stick around and be a part of that panel?
I'll be
You'll
here.
help us
Thank
out with
you.
that? All right. All right, so before we introduce our next panel, I invite you all to take a look at this video that really highlights a few employees who are shaping their careers at Comcast.
The great thing about Comcast and NBC Universal is management really encourages you to find and seek out the things that interest you and to really shape your own career path.
I started my career here at Comcast as an intern. Now I'm in the Core Tech rotation program. The Core Technology Rotational Program is a 2-year program, and it allows you to rotate throughout Comcast and NBC Universal, and you have different skills that you develop throughout each of your rotations. It's a really great opportunity to see the company as a whole, get to work with different people, and be able to grow your skill set and actually find a path that you want to follow.
As a product manager at msnbc.com, I'm responsible for our product roadmap, all of the products that we build for our digital outlets, which include our website, as well as our mobile app and our set-top box apps.
I was hired at NBCU to help with the company's digital transformation. One of the first projects I worked on was Hulu, which was really the first expression of television online. When an opportunity came up at Comcast to move into a more strategic role where I would be able to affect the direction of both companies, I jumped at it.
I love to learn, and technology is like this never-ending space that you can learn in. So I started in the IT department here, and a lot of it was just learning, like, how can I help people do their job quicker, faster, better. I've rotated across a number of different businesses, a number of different technologies, and now I'm building tools that help our journalists tell great stories.
I knew I wanted to be an engineer in high school when I sat down and started thinking of ways that I could help people and do something that is impactful. And the way I felt that I could do that is through developing apps. I went to the NSBE conference. Comcast happened to be there, and I got an internship.
Right now we're working on Operation Watch, which is really a collection of products.
My current role with the Strategic Development Organization is focused on creating new opportunity for Comcast through novel and innovative partnerships.
The project I'm working on currently is called Customer Timeline, and Customer Timeline is pretty much a timeline of all the customer-related events.
Create external table, call from that, right?
And we can create those in the EBI schema. My goal at the end of the 2 years is to have developed amazing leadership skills because I'd like to be a project manager.
Well, welcome to project management. We'll be walking through some process models today. What does this look like to you right now?
Today, I've been meeting with people from the startup community here in Philadelphia. I'm trying to figure out how Comcast can really participate and support growth among the communities that have struggled so hard to find a foothold. I think that we can play a big part in making sure that these organizations and these groups are able to scale and perform the good work they do, both in Philadelphia and wherever Comcast operates.
We're doing things that have never been done before. So we're constantly at the cutting edge of technology and at the intersection of people and process. There's a level of ownership that I feel is quite unique. It's about caring.
There is no typical day in my job. That's the great thing about my job. Every day is a completely new adventure, and it's all about discovery, meeting new people, learning new things, and charting new courses for our products, our services, and actually our employees as well.
So understanding what millennials are looking for from a company and from their careers really takes keeping your finger on the pulse of changes. Changes in professional and academic trends, changes in talent acquisition and talent management, and changes really in the aspirations of each coming generation. So we're going to talk about that now. With us here today to provide some fascinating insight, we have Jasmine Senior, Program Manager of the Campus Intern Program at Comcast, Ali Wong, Talent Acquisition Leader at NBC Universal, and Beth Arnholt, Vice President of Integrated Talent Management. Thank you guys for being here with us today. So, and let's start back with Ali now. We know Kwame. We've already introduced you. We know what he does. Ali, tell us what exactly you do here for
Sure.
you're with NBC Universal.
I'm with NBC
Yeah.
Universal. And so my role there is really to lead the recruiting team that covers our ad sales marketing division, as well as our NBC stations and our Telemundo stations.
Woo-woo. That's neat.
NBC's doing well in Philly. Thank you.
And Beth at Comcast and NBC Universal.
Right. I always say I work for Comcast NBC Universal. My job is to lead a group called Integrated Talent Management. But our role is to understand where it makes sense for different parts of the business to partner together on talent strategies that are focused on the future. So how can we influence culture change within the business and really help to build a pipeline of talent, both from internal and external individuals, to make sure we're prepared for the future.
All right, we have some good questions for you coming up. And Jasmine, tell us about what you do here at Comcast.
Well, I have the coolest job ever. My job is to manage the internship program here at the Comcast Center and also our cooperative learning experiences.
Yeah, you have some great interns here. I've got to meet a few of them today. They're pretty awesome. Cool. All right, so, and we'll go back to, with talent acquisition, Allie, so how do you go about finding the absolute best talent out there? How do you do that?
You know, it's very interesting because one of the things about Comcast NBC Universal is that we're really focused on the content, and our leaders are passionate about that content. So when we're looking for talent, you can get 500 to 1,000 candidates applying for a role, but are they truly passionate about what we do, why we do it, and the content that's put out there? And so as we're looking at people for roles, that's one of the first key markers for us is, do you really want to work here? Do you really understand what we do? And do you have a passion for our brand?
And play off of that, Beth, how important is that in really defining the best talent out there when you have a pool of 500 candidates? How do you do that?
Yeah, actually it's true. I actually have several interviewers that interview for my programs for me, and one of the first questions they ask is, tell me what you watch.
Oh, wow.
But when we're looking for talent, one of the things, this business is ever changing, and so we look for individuals that are very curious, they're natural problem solvers. You mentioned earlier talking about collaboration, really working across teams. So they may bring a certain skill set, technical skills to the table, and yes, there's some table stakes for that, but really it's more about who are those curious individuals that really want to get involved, really want to continue to learn about whether it be new technical skills or new parts of the business. We really look for that kind of focus and passion.
Yeah, and of course part of the hiring process is often done through internships, you know, and you're identifying, Jasmine, those interns. You're seeing those that have great potential in the company, but how do you find the best of the best interns out there?
So we have an amazing university relations team that goes out on campus and stays close to the pulse of what's happening, curriculum, partnering with student professional organizations on campus, as well as getting feedback from students and what they are looking for in an internship experience and also in terms of their career.
And Kwame, what would you say about finding those future Comcast stars?
Yeah, I think that, you know, from across the corporations that I've worked with, I think there's a couple key learnings. I think one is the fact that you should trumpet and live every day your principles and values so that there's an alignment there with the millennial generation. They're really looking for that, a place that trumpets similar values, that talks about, you know, being entrepreneurial, that talks about different mobile skill sets that they can develop throughout their career and what that career path will be. So aligning, you know, who you are with the goals of millennials as individuals in their career. And then second, I think that what you should do is you really need to look at new services. There's a new service called Glassdoor. And Glassdoor is basically the TripAdvisor of careers for millennials. They'll post actual reviews of, you know, I hated working here, or this boss was great, or whatever it might be. And I think they're using that in the way that, you know, previously we may have used LinkedIn or may have used Monster to really go through their careers and figure out exactly what people are saying on an authentic and real basis. So we have to use that technology and also at the same time trumpet our values.
All right, and you work with Comcast and other companies on this, so when you get that talent through the door, what are some of the best management techniques in really getting the best response out of these new, young, talented professionals?
Once again, enrolling them in the process. It can't be a go do this busy work type of assignment. It has to be something that says, this is your piece of the overall pie, and then once you deliver it, this is what that long-term career game plan or project's going to look like. So enrolling them in the process, giving them the feedback they need to be successful, and then giving them opportunities to stretch and grow in their career beyond their immediate workflow.
And Jasmine, is that what you find with interns in terms of management techniques?
Absolutely. I think it's really, I encourage interns to understand the why. Why are you doing something? What is the solution that you're looking to provide, and what value are you going to add to your team? That should be their mission from day one, to add value, to make, you know, supervisors' job easier, but also to bring a diverse perspective to the table based on, you know, it could be ethnic diversity, gender diversity, the background and school that you go to, that you're always bringing a fresh and new perspective to the table.
Yeah, Allie, are you seeing any of these management techniques that are really working in what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, as I look at my team, I have 13 people on the team, and the majority of them are millennials. And so one of the things for them is they're always looking at what's the next step in their career. And so as they're working on the projects, it's really a focus on this is your foundations. And so how do we build that foundation so that when you're in your next role, you already have experienced something that's going to help you to be successful. And so it's really building that in your role today as you look at the next role where you're going to stretch into, to making sure that you are having those key life skills that you're going to need overall.
And Beth, that is your role, talent management for NBC Universal and Comcast. What techniques do you find are working with young talent today?
Yeah, it's one of the aspects of my role is to run several rotational programs where I hire people off of college campuses and move them around the business for 2 years. So as you were talking about understanding the why, you know, what we find, I'm surrounded. I have 40 to 50 millennials reporting to me at any given point. And so we are always looking for those challenges. We bring them into the program with the understanding they're going to move across functions, across businesses, that we are going to keep them on critical business needs, that they're going to have the opportunity to contribute, that I'm going to push them far out of their comfort zone. I'm going to take somebody that was in a military background and move them into a digital creative space for a period of time. So we can really build that adaptability and flexibility and bring out the skills that are transferable to different parts of the business, while at the same time, you know, we talk about I think this organization is wonderful, and I use the phrase, you can reinvent your career 22 different times within the same organization.
Well, that's important. I mean, it can be intimidating from a young professional's perspective. You don't want to upset your boss in you know, letting on that you're interested sometimes in working for another facet, another area of the company. So, you know, how do you do that, and how do you create an environment where your employees are comfortable in saying, hey, you know, I'd like to try this out, or, you know, I'm interested in this?
It's funny, I literally just had coffee in that conversation with somebody yesterday. But what we do, and I mentioned earlier, part of my job is to influence cultural change. So for 2 years, while these individuals are within my bubble, I make it the right thing to do for them to move around, for them to ask those questions, for them to think about the fact that they work for this company and not for that boss, that we are all part of that same family. And so they're moving around and making it okay within their businesses, with the hope that everybody understands that we're raising talent on behalf of the organization, that if we have somebody that's passionate about this business and can do that, we are more likely to hold on to them for longer. I can continue to offer them new challenges, and they will start to think differently about how all the different parts of the business fit together. So for me, I talk to people all the time and coach them to position it as it's a positive thing. I'm not looking to run away from you. I am so passionate about this business overall. I want to find out what the future may hold.
Yeah. Chris, I was just going to say that's also the strength of the ERG. So if you look at the the Young Professional Network, you essentially are looking at a group of people in cross-functional roles all across the company. And so you get a chance to do a little putting your toe in the water and finding out about someone else's career, understanding their role, understanding their boss, understanding the different stretch assignments that they've been given. And I think networking within that Young Professional Network gives you that natural chance to kind of, you know, play in the shallow end of the pool